Okay, welcome back. Now today we are going to be advancing in PHP. For the first phase of the PHP, we talked about the fundamentals of PHP, where we have the syntax, we have the variables, we have the data types, we have the conditional statements, we have the loops, we have the functions, and I think we talked about the super globals and other conditional statements. We had the constants and operators, where we gave a brief intro into everything. And towards the end of the course, we started looking at files, how to submit a form, and how to get using the get method and the post method to submit a form. Now we're going to be advancing more deeply into PHP in this lesson, and we're going to be exposing ourselves to a few more things. Now the first thing I'm going to be exposing you to is the date and time. Now PHP has a function for getting the date and getting the time of wherever you are. So the PHP date function formats a timestamp to a more readable date and time. Now what is a timestamp? A timestamp is the representative or the representation of the current time in numbers. So for that, before we go further, let me just show you what a timestamp is. Okay, if you come to our text editor, we can see time. Time stands for a timestamp, right? If we come and echo this in our browser, we can see the value it is giving us. This is the current time location. This is the current time for where I am now. And we can also put this into a function called date and get a more suitable value. So let me go back to this. So now to get a date, the required format parameter of the date function specify how to format the date or time. Now we have the syntax, which is the date function, the format you want to display it, and the timestamp. Like I showed you what a timestamp is just now. So here are some characters that are commonly used for date. To get date, D represents the date of the month, and it's in lowercase, so it goes from 0 to 31. If we put it in capital or in uppercase, it's going to give us something else. So we have M, who represent the months, Y represent a year in 4 digits, L represent the day of the week. So we can go ahead and see how this looks like in our date function. So if you come to our and say, if you echo date, and we'll say, since they are variables, we say day, M, Y. If you go ahead to our browser, it tells us what this is 8 of 8 of 2022, right? We can also go ahead and let me echo a break tag here. The break tag is one of the most used tag, okay? And let me go ahead and copy this and duplicate it multiple times, and I can change this to, okay, let me use Y here so that we can see. Let me use capital D, capital M, let me use small l, let me use large L, let me use capital D, capital M, capital Y, and see what it gives us. Alright, so we can see that this is telling us that this is the first one. All small caps shows us that it's showing us exactly the date and the time of the date, rather 882 in small form. Then the other one is showing us is month August 2022. The other one is showing us in full Monday, and it's also displaying it based on the way we put it. So the last one is also okay, capital L didn't work, so that doesn't function. So we can go ahead and comment this one out, and we can reload and see what we have. So that is how it is. Okay, now so for the last part of it, it says other characters like slash, dot, or hyphen can be inserted between the characters to add additional formatting. So that is to say, if we come back to, we can choose to say, let this have an hyphen to separate. We can say, let this have a slash. We can say, let this have a dot, 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 and we can come and see. So just to format the date to let it load, we can also come and add, if I duplicate this guy, let's say I duplicate this guy here, I can also make it this way. Just anything to get our format. This is more accurate, like a time format. So that is how we can get our date and time exactly how it is displayed. Alright, so this shows us how we can also display, just like I've done in the previous slide. Okay, and we can also have an automatic copyright. We can do a copyright here to see how it looks like. Let's just play around with copyright. So I have here now, this I'm going to be showing you is an HTML work. So I'm not going to display it in the PHP. I'm going to bring it underneath here. We have copy, sorry, not variable, it's an and. Copy is an HTML entity for copyright. So copyright will say 2019 to want to get the current date. So we're going to do what? Just echo date and just put the year, because we want to get the current year, and we can go ahead to our browser and display. I'll say copyright 2019 to 22. So that's how we can add a copyright. Let us say we have a footer section of our web page, and we can display a copyright in the footer section. So we also get to get a time. Now, since we've gotten the date, we can also get the time. So here are some characters for getting a time. We have H, which is displayed in 24 hours, small h 12 hours, I minutes, leading from 0 to 59 in minutes, S seconds, and A lowercase ante-meridiem and post-meridiem, that is AM or PM. So let's go ahead and echo this out and see what it gives us. Okay, so if you come back to our date and time and we want to echo it out to see, we see it can tell us what the current time is, 4:45 a.m. and 55 seconds. If we reload this, we can see it's now 4:56 and 4 seconds. We reload it to see that the time keeps counting, and that is the current time for what we are in right now. Now, how do you get your time zone? Now, if the time you got back from the code is not correct, it is probably because your server is in another country or set up on a different time zone. There is always a default time zone that can be used to display your time to get your current time. So we can use the date default time zone to set our time zone, which is to Africa, Lagos. So let's go ahead and see how to do that. We have date default, to bring this session, date default time zone set, and we'll set it to what? Africa in Lagos, and see if it's going to recognize that. I'll go back to our web browser and reload. is telling us that the time is in Lagos is using a GMT -1, so the GMT in itself, so it's still saying 3, whereas it is 4. So it's better you just leave it like this and let it just pick the correct time zone that is set by your system. Okay, so actually this is actually the correct time. This is actually the correct time. The one for the PHP by default is picking a +1 because the time is actually just 3:47. So this is actually, using this is actually the correct one, setting my time to 3:48. Alright, so that is how you can set your time and check your time zone and get your time by getting the hours, the minutes, and the seconds. That is how you do that. So you can also make time. There's an optional timestamp parameter in the date function specifies a timestamp. If you omit the timestamp, the current date and time will be used, as in the example previously shown. Now, but you can use a function in PHP called makeTime to return the unique timestamp for a date. And the unique timestamp for a date contains the number of seconds between the unique epoch, that is January 1, 1970, is going to show you everything in full. It's going to show you the full date in time. So what is the syntax? The syntax for make time is you put the hours, the minute, the seconds, the month, the day, and the year. Now the example below shows how to create a date and time with the date function from a number of parameters in the make time function. So let's say you have a variable which is make time and you put in the hours, the minutes, the seconds, the day, the year, and the time, and you want to create a date from it or a time from it. Let's see how you can do that. Okay, so now if we have our make time with these values and we want it to encode the day, month, year, we can just come straight to our browser and reload. We see that it has 8822, that is date, the time, and it has the time in it. So that is how you use your make time variable to create a time stamp. Okay, sorry, I made a mistake. We are supposed to add the variable of the date, which is D, so that it can make our date from the time. So we have it to our browser and we reload and we see that okay, this is exactly the time we want to create. Let's say we want to create a default time for something to run in PHP. Maybe you want the default time for every program to be set backwards or forwards, or you want to create a countdown to a program. You can use this default time to set the time by default that is going to be registered or viewed on your application. There are also other ways to do the make time. You can create a date and time from the string to time. We also have a function called string to time. You can check the time and you can convert a string into time. Let's say you have a string of 10:30 p.m. April 15, 2014 and you want to create it to time. You can say the date created is this. You can convert a string to time. So let us check that out in the text editor. Okay, we say our D equals to string to time, and we say the string is what? We say we are in, the time is 3:50 a.m. and we are in August 8, 2022. Close the tag. We echo our date in year, month, day, hour, of D. I'll see what this gives us. Gives us the date, the time, and the time from the string we have written. We wrote it as a string or just writing it on our own, and we are calling it into a date function. And because we use the string to time function, it converts it into a date format. So PHP is quite flexible. You can write it in a strings and it will convert it into a date function. Next, we have examples of dates that we can use from a string to time. We can say from tomorrow, it will recognize what tomorrow is and it's going to echo out what it is. We can say next Saturday, we can say plus 3 months, and let's see what they do. Alright, so we have tomorrow, next Sunday, and 4 plus 4 months from now. So let's go to our browser and we can see that tomorrow is going to be 9 of 8. Next Sunday is going to be 14th of 8, and 4 months from now is going to be 8 of 12. 12 is now December. So we can see that we can use the string to time function to create time or to guess what the time would be. So it's quite easy to use that. Peradventure, you're working on a countdown or you're working on something that you need to echo out the futuristic time and you have no idea of what it's going to be. So you can use it to find out what the answer is going to be by predicting the time ahead.